Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Tuesday, March 23rd. It's Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith, and we're here breaking down the Tuesday NHL card. A very light slate on a Tuesday. 5 games on tap for this Tuesday night slate, so we will get to those in just a second. Before we do, we often like to do this on a day where there's less games to break down and less games to talk about on the card. Look back at what we saw last night. Of course, it was a pretty busy Monday night in the NHL. The Philadelphia Flyers can't get out of their own way. They actually play, I think, a pretty good hockey game overall, and yet the Islanders tie it and then win in overtime. So the struggles continue for the Philadelphia Flyers last night in that game. How about the Winnipeg Jets? You can almost always count on this team to avoid extended losing streaks, and they did that last night. A very nice shutout victory over the Vancouver Canucks. We mentioned on yesterday's show, Alex, a little bit of a tough spot it was for Vancouver last night, and the Jets took advantage. Really solid game. Hellebuck, very steady in net as he's been so often, and a nice win for the Jets. It was good to see Blake Wheeler score last night for the Winnipeg Jets. He's one guy that's been feeling some frustration lately for the Jets. I think with his offensive game, that they lost a couple in a row there, and you could see there was a little bit of visible frustration on his face that the game didn't end the way the Jets hoped. But to see him score a goal, because his offense has not been quite as consistent as we're used to seeing. Definitely a positive development for the Winnipeg Jets in that victory last night. We saw the Vegas Golden Knights take care of business against St. Louis. Very impressive. It was a back-to-back situation for the Golden Knights. A couple of injuries to deal with as well. Robin Lehner in net, who hasn't exactly played a lot of hockey this season, and yet they go pillar to post and really control the game from start to finish, take advantage of an undisciplined St. Louis Blues team, and they get the victory there, 5-1, and some late magic for Alex, me, and anybody else that liked over the total in that game. Very, very happy to see that 5th Vegas goal late in that hockey game. Disappointing result for me on the card. I mean, I got Carolina in regulation right. Nice, strong road game for the Carolina Hurricanes last night, taking care of business against the Columbus Blue Jackets, but disappointing, to say the least, was the loss suffered by the Calgary Flames last night to the Ottawa Senators. And it wasn't like Gustafsson was good in his first ever NHL start, but that was not the type of hardworking desperation effort I expected from the Calgary Flames last night. And Ottawa controlled the game. There's not a fluke. I don't want to hear bad luck or bad breaks. Ottawa deserved that victory last night. And all of a sudden now, everything was hunky-dory. Everything was fine. The things were going well for Calgary in the initial couple of games under Daryl Sutter, but now a few more bumps in the road on the ice and character issues off the ice potentially, particularly with the way that game ended last night against Ottawa. Now, the longstanding tradition in the NHL is when a guy scores his first NHL goal, you give him the game puck. When an NHL goaltender makes his first start and gets his first win, you give him the game puck. It's been a tradition for years, if not decades, in the league. But the Calgary Flames decide, you know what? We're going to pull a prick move here and try to keep the puck for ourselves and not let the kid have it after the game. Brady Tkachuk didn't take too kindly to it as the Flames were skating off the bench. And here's Rasmus Andersson, defenseman on the Flames, just taking the puck and trying to go back to the Flames dressing room with it. I mean, it's just why? It's stupid. It's immature. It's childish. It's being a prick. It's being a dick. It's being, it's being completely selfish. And to me, it was a silly, ridiculous move for the Calgary Flames. And it's something that the Ottawa Senators are probably going to remember, the next time they play this Flames team, that they tried to do this to this kid, Philip Gustafsson. So really a bunch of nonsense and stupidity in my mind from the Calgary Flames last night. And the Ottawa Senators get the job done. And Calgary now, in a game they needed 2 points against a team they should have beat. When you're trying to chase down a top 4 spot, they're still trailing Montreal, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Toronto. That's not a loss you can afford. We'll see if they can bounce back from that. But certainly some ridiculous actions in terms of trying to steal the puck away from that young kid in his first ever NHL game, getting his first win. So kind of silly and to see shenanigans like that from the Calgary Flames. Alex, I know you didn't like seeing that either. Give us your thoughts on that and the NHL action we saw last night.
Yeah, before the decade is over, most of us will probably forget the name Philip Gustafson. But the fact that he worked his tail off to get to the point, and of course some breaks went his way, guys getting hurt and so forth, to get to the point to be in an NHL game and make his first start and get his first win. To deny him the game puck like that, and I can see if it was a rival, if this was Edmonton, Calgary, that would make somewhat more sense. But just Calgary, you already came out and laid an egg against one of the worst teams in the league, and now to pull some shit like this, it's just unacceptable, and it says a lot to the character of this Flames team. It goes back a while back, all the way back to about a few years ago. They had issues where half the team got drunk for a Super Bowl, and the next day show up at a practice, completely messed up, and they had to end up canceling the practice. But there's been a lot of issues that I've heard and read with this Flames team going back about 5 or 6 years now. And it makes sense. It kind of goes in line with the fact that this team has not, achieved anything on ice for the most part. They go through coaches left and right, and things don't change. So, we really start talking about breaking up a core group of a team. We always talk about it, just simply not winning. I think this core group might need to be broken up just for a bunch of different reasons. And we don't see any kind of progress moving forward with Calgary, especially if it leads to, nothing happening on the ice as well. So, like I said, that was just very disappointing to see that. Some of the other games as well, we saw the Wild get a franchise record 9th straight win at home in a 2-1 game. I thought that was going to be a lot more scoring involved, especially when you're talking about Ryan Miller in net for the Ducks. But they held their own in that game, and the Wild, were able to take care of business late, but they slept all through the first 30 minutes of that contest. They can't afford to do that against those weaker teams in the West if they want to be a true playoff team and a true contender in that division. They've got to put away the teams like Anaheim and LA and San Jose. So that was something interesting to see as well. Just a lot of low-scoring games throughout the league. I mean, most of the scores were 2-1, and that's something we might see. We might start seeing some tighter pace competitive games because that fourth spot in that division, that's a playoff spot now. So there's a lot of teams look at the Central for tonight, for example. When you got Chicago, Columbus, Nashville, and Dallas all within 4 points of each other for that fourth spot, and they know that's the only spot that's going to be remaining in the playoffs. So the top three for that's pretty much locked up already. It's just a matter of a couple of weeks before we see that division settled. So those games, when I look and pay close attention to maybe playing some more unders than usual, looking at that, the overtime draw, the regulation draw prop as well, because those teams just want to get points. And if it's close, 2-2, 3-3 with about 3 minutes left in the third period, there's no reason to risk, losing a point. Go on and go to overtime and settle it there and try to get that second point, but at least get one for your team moving forward. So that's something to keep an eye on as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely good points. The draw, the tight, a lot of one-goal games. You're going to see probably a lot of them. These are all divisional games. If it's 2-2 in the late in the third, why press for that go-ahead goal and risk giving one up and getting no points? Get the point guaranteed. And you might see teams playing for those 3-point games more and more in these very tight, compact playoff races down the stretch. We've got Jimmy Murphy with us now as well. Jimmy, what did you see last night, and what are your observations from it?
I mean, I'm with you guys on what happened there with the Flames. It's just childish and immature. It's like, and I think Alex makes a great point. I mean, this has been going on for a while with this core, and that's why you continue to hear names like Moynihan and Goudreau in trade rumors there. And, clearly it's not the coach, because, I mean, how many coaches has this core been through? I mean, about three or four, right? So, I mean, clearly there's something going on with the players there, and it's not changing. It's just the people you have. That's who they are. And at what point does Trey Living decide, okay, I don't need these type of people in my dressing room. I don't need these type of people playing for my team, and change direction. And yeah, it's going to cause some pain. You're going to get a ton of criticism, but you know what? You're going to save your job, because your job's next. All right. You already pulled the wild card out on the coach. So your job is next if you don't get into the playoffs this year. And I know it's this year is kind of a one-off and everything, and there's so many variables involved, but no variable made the Calgary Flames act like a bunch of stupid little second graders on a playground last night. It's got to stop. And I just wonder, I thought, they were talking about this on Hockey Central today, and they had Anthony Stewart on, who, had a brother himself that he played against, actually only once, it turned out, in the NHL, and Chris Stewart. But, he said, what would you do if you're Brady? Because, I mean, Matt Tkachuk is right behind all those shenanigans there. I mean, he's dead in the middle of it. He's always been part of it. And now you're kind of caught in the middle there between your teammates and your family. Like, does the team maybe use him as a conduit and say the next time they face each other, say, hey, look, we know something's going to go down here, but you gotta get your guys in order. We don't want this to get too out of hand here. We don't want anyone to get hurt, because that's what will happen. It's going to lead to that, and somebody's going to get hurt. And the NHL won't do their job in preventing it from happening. So this is on the players to figure out what happens the next time they meet. And I wonder if both sides use the Kachuk brothers to kind of pass information between the two dressing rooms. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those rare situations. You got brothers playing for the opposing teams here, and maybe they tell each other, "Hey, this is what our team thinks of what you did." This is if you're Brady talking to Matt, and Matt's saying, well, okay, we didn't mean any, and they can he can explain Calgary's side of the story to Brady, and then tell it to the rest of the teammates, and then we go from there and maybe avoid something blowing up or anything like that.
I'll say, though, if I'm one of the guys on Ottawa right now, I don't really give a shit what Matt tells Brady. I'm still going out there and I'm going after him or somebody on the Flames, and I'm going to make them pay for it. That's me, but maybe they can save a war. We'll see.
It's just a great tradition in the league, and for Calgary to try to pull something like that,
it's not the first time either.
Kind of silly.
Yeah,
kind of silly. And by the way, you're right. We can rag on this team on the ice too, because there's 4 coaches that have bit the dust under this Gaudreau, Monahan-led group: Bob Hartley, Glenn Gullinson.
That was the guy I forgot.
Bill Peters, Bill Peters, and of course Jeff Ward recently. So this is number 5. This is not Mambo number 5. This is coach number 5.
This is Flamo number 5.
Calgary Flames. With Daryl Sutter. So, at some point, what do? You can't always just go through one coach after another. You got to look at tree living a little bit, maybe. You got to look at the change. Just got maybe changing the core. Maybe we need a change of scenery for some of the.
I even questioned Giordano, guys. And I know that's going to, hurt a lot of people in the hockey.
He looks slow. He looks hurt. He looks old. He looks like the expiry date is come and gone.
But he doesn't look like a captain. And I'm sorry, he never has to me. I think he has been one of these, these players that the Canadian media just decide to adopt.
He's a nice guy, but he's too nice.
Yep. Make him the ultimate leader and try to build him up as this guy that he's really not. I mean, if he was such a leader, this shit wouldn't happen. So I put this on him too.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep, that's a great point. I think he's. They say he's one of the most likable, nicest people off the ice. But sometimes you can't have that when you're struggling. No. You need a little ruffle the feathers. You need someone to snap, crack some heads. You need someone to roll the fuck out of somebody.
Yeah.
When you're struggling, and you need to right the ship. And he doesn't look like he's got that temperament or mentality to do that. But Calgary, definitely an interesting team to watch moving forward. Let's get into tonight's action. We've got 5 games on this Tuesday NHL slate. We're going to start with the New Jersey Devils taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. We've got Philadelphia here at a -160 favorite. Talking about laying a big price for a really struggling Philadelphia Flyers team here. The total 6 across the board here. These are small plays for me on New Jersey in this game at +140. Just a small one. Like, we know the Devils aren't exactly a consistent team. They're still without Nico Hischier, but hey, they just came off a couple of games with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they've won the latter game against Pittsburgh over the weekend. They're battling. They're a very competitive, hard-working group. I don't think you can take any of that away from the New Jersey Devils. And look, the Devils, they fell behind 1-0 and they rallied. They stuck with the game. I thought they carried the play, believe it or not, to the Penguins. The more that game went along, as it went, Mackenzie Blackwood played a better game in net for the New Jersey Devils in that victory against the Pittsburgh Penguins. On the flip side, you're just not getting consistent enough goaltending and defense from the Flyers. Actually, it was a little bit better last night against the Islanders, but they still fall short in that game by a score of 2-1. Still a Flyers team that, from an over the total perspective, we're talking about 7 of their last 8 games have gone over the total. I think there's a chance we get back to that tonight. So I don't love that the total's 6 with New Jersey involved. So that's why I'm keeping this a smaller play tonight. But I am on New Jersey here, +140 small, as well as the over. Small plays for me on the side and the total. Devils and the over for me in this one. Alex, what's your thoughts on New Jersey and Philadelphia?
It's a lean with New Jersey because of the price. I think this price is absolutely insane. I mean, this, look at this Flyers team. We talked about how bad they've been the last several games, and they blow the 1-0 lead. They outshot the Islanders and still found a way to lose. So that can't be good for morale, obviously. But just even the way that game was played, they should have came out and scored 3 or 4 goals. There's something wrong with that Flyer team altogether. It's not just the lack of defense and goaltending now too. We've seen them kind of fall flat offensively as well at times. And of course, the Islanders, they're known for laying an egg offensively as well too. So, the 3-4 goals we thought we might see against this weak defense, that didn't come to fruition either. So now you play a Devils team, same kind of issues offensively. It's not. I'm not comfortable enough to make this an official bet. It's just a lean because there's no way that the Flyers should be favorite this high right now, even against a team that the Devils have lost 13 of their last 18. But like I said, this might be something I jump in with in game, see how the Flyers respond in the first 5-10 minutes. If they look flat again and the Devils jump out to a 1-0 lead, might be able to get a puck line and they could just completely roll flat the rest of the way. Or if they're up big, then maybe want to take a shot with the over at an adjusted price. But even right now at 6, that's still a tad bit high considering how New Jersey plays offensively.
Yeah, it's true. I was hoping more. I would have bet it more at 5.5. At 6, we're just keeping it small. Jimmy, what do you think here? Devils and Flyers.
Had gone a week without doing that.
I know, it's been a while.
No, you know what? I'm with you guys. I mean, that price is way too high right there for the Fly. And I don't know. I mean, are they watching the Flyers lately? I look at this game as a game for New Jersey to win, but part of me remembers they are New Jersey as well. But I like a close game here. I like them to duke it out, and I see an overtime here. So I'm going to go with the draw in this game, guys.
All right, going for the draw, north of plus 300 price with that. So really good price with the draw here between the Devils and the Flyers. We've got Chicago taking on Florida in the next game on the slate. The Florida Panthers in that minus 160 road favorite price range here. The total 6 shaded to the over in this one. The Chicago Blackhawks, certainly a 6-game road trip coming to an end. Back home now at the UC. Hoping for some kind of turnaround, but not going to be easy. It seems like they just played a bunch of good teams and tough teams, and here they are returning home off a long road trip, and who are they playing? A very good and a very tough team. So it's just no let up in the schedule right now for the Chicago Blackhawks. And to make matters worse, Florida's coming in off a loss here. We know how good the Panthers have been off a loss this season. Of course, they dropped the big showdown with Tampa Bay on Sunday, 4-3 victory for the Lightning in that game. So Panthers, I'm sure, will be looking to bounce back here against this Chicago Blackhawks team. Look, it's just been tough for the Chicago defense. Again, we've talked about this now for several games in a row. They've fallen off at that end of the ice, giving up 3 goals or more in the majority of their recent games. There's been a bunch they've given up actually 4 goals or more as well, Chicago in recent games, which doesn't really bode well for this taking on this Florida Panthers team. It'll be Chris Drieger in net tonight for the Florida Panthers, looking at Kevin Lankinen as the starting goalie for Chicago. You look back at the head-to-head meetings. We've had 4 head-to-head meetings with the Panthers and the Blackhawks, 3-0-1 to the over. All 4 of those games reaching 6 total goals scored. So I don't know if anything changes in that regard tonight. Panthers find a way to get some offense. Chicago, that's the one thing they can do is still score for you with Kane and DeBrincat and Kubalik, and certainly more than enough playmakers up front to maybe find the back of the net. And the one thing about Chicago, they do score more at home. At home, they've been able to find the back of the net, get their offense going. They've been a pretty good offensive team and a pretty good scoring team on home ice this season. So this is one where this is probably one of my top plays for sure tonight. It might even be best bet when this show wraps up. I like the over here, Florida, Chicago, over 6 minus 120. As far as the side goes, I'm not stepping in front of Florida off a loss. I'm probably going to not lay the price or even look regulation. I guess I'd lean Florida in regulation, but Chicago does sometimes surprise at home. I remember them beating Tampa once on home ice, but that could be negated by the fact it's a little bit of a tricky scheduling spot with Chicago returning home off that first game. So the lead is Florida in regulation. I think I like the total, though, quite a bit more than the side. Alex, what do you think of your Blackhawks tonight hosting the Panthers?
Well, it's a good thing that we'll just push this over to the side. It's a good thing the White Sox are going to be starting in about a week or so because this Hawk season is pretty much over with. Honestly, and kudos to them. They played, some hard games. We saw the emergence of Kevin Lankinen. Patrick Kane hopefully will be a Hart Trophy finalist, but the writing's on the wall right now. This defense starting to struggle again. Lankinen can't just bail them out night after night. He's going to start wearing down as a rookie. And sometimes this offense, they come in waves. And even now playing a Florida team where they know, like I said, they can't be too comfortable with the fact that they are a playoff team as of now. They still have to need to, drive themselves and kind of fight. They still have a good chance at winning this division. Like I said, it's a 3-horse race with them in Tampa and Carolina. So winning these games is crucial for them moving down the stretch. I like Florida here in regulation in this spot. Like I said, this was coming home off of a long road trip for the Hawks. It's a spot we've seen them kind of fall flat in over the years. And like I said, it wasn't a good road trip at that. So, their morale could be a bit low right now. So I'm going to take a shot with Florida in regulation. I can see where the Hawks, maybe they get a couple of goals in, but I think Florida's offense is going to be way too much, and I lean with the over there as well.
All right, like in Florida, in regulation, you can get that right around even money, around that -105, -110 price range. Panthers in regulation. Jimmy, what do you think here with the Florida Panthers, Chicago Blackhawks?
Well, I'm liking the Panthers as well, and I'll even take it a step further and bring in Jimmy Puckline here on this game. I'm with you. I think the Blackhawks, are slowly, or already have been slowly, coming back down to earth. And, like Alex said, props to them. I don't think anyone expected them to even sniff in the playoffs at this point. So good for them, and the future's bright. I will say they're a team I think we need to keep an eye on. Once they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs and they've got nothing to lose, and they're out there just carefree, sometimes that's when those teams scare me. But right now they seem to be in that sort of collapse that brings them back down to that point. So for now, I'm going to fade them. Give me the Panthers -1.5.
All right, liking the Panthers on the puck line, Jimmy Murphy. Jimmy Puckline for the first time on this show. Florida 9-0-1 is the record off a loss this season. And obviously they are in that role tonight after losing to Tampa Bay. By the way, they lost 5-3, not 4-3 to Tampa Bay. I forgot the Lightning got a late empty net goal in the final seconds, but still lost the game 5-3 to Tampa the other day. We all kind of lean Florida. Alex in regulation, Jimmy Puckline with the Panthers. I lean Florida, but I'm on the over a little bit more. Next up, we've got Nashville and Tampa Bay. By the way, Barkov, 10 points in 6 games for the Panthers in the last 6. If you like either goal scoring props or over total points props, Alex Barkov is definitely someone to potentially look at from a prop standpoint tonight in that game for the Florida Panthers. We've got Nashville Nashville, Detroit next up on the slate. We've got Nashville -150 home favorites here. The total is 6 across the board. We'll see how this one goes. This is the one game tonight on this card that I'm not enamored with by any stretch of the imagination here. This is a tough spot for Nashville. They've been on the road a lot of games in a condensed period of time, all away from home, and now they're returning home for the first time. That's a little bit of a tricky spot, in my opinion, here for the Predators tonight as they take on this Detroit team. By the way, the total is 5.5, not 6. I misquoted that. It's 5.5 the total in this game. But yeah, it's a tricky spot, in my opinion, for the Nashville Predators. They played on the road a lot, and a lot of good teams too. Florida, Tampa Bay, Carolina, like they played a lot of really tough teams, good teams on the road, takes a lot out of you, played a lot of games in a condensed period of time. I don't like this team very much to begin with, so there's no way I'm laying -150 here in this game with Nashville tonight in this spot. But on the flip side, Detroit, I don't love them enough to back them here tonight. They've struggled obviously all season, but more than anything, if Jonathan Bernier doesn't show up in net for them, because that's when they've been competitive. That's when they've won games this year. Thomas Greiss ain't the guy. He's struggling. And it seems like he just can't get out of his own way right now for the Red Wings. We've talked ad nauseum about how he's gone from the Islanders' steel door defense to this open door policy that the Red Wing blue line often has this year on this team's. And it is definitely had a tough time adjusting to it. No question about that. And there's a good chance we'll see him in net tonight. So for that reason, and Nashville, I'll say this, they're working hard. They battled Florida pretty tough. They won the first game against Florida, and they hung in there in the second of the 2 back-to-back games against the Panthers. That's a positive for them. They took one of the 2 games against Tampa Bay Like, I'm not usually one to give praise and shower all kinds of accolades on this Nashville team, but I'll give them credit where credit's due. Even with the injuries on the blue line, with their veteran players not stepping up, they're getting some of these young guys, including Eli Tolvanen, among others, really playing better hockey, trying to show the management, the coaching staff that they can play in the NHL and they want to stick here. So Nashville's effort and their compete level, I think, has gone up in recent games. So for that reason, it's just not an automatic fade anymore for me of Nashville. Certainly not tonight against Detroit. However, with them returning home off a long road trip, I'm not in a rush to lay -150 with this team at all either. So it's a pass for me on this game. Alex, what's your take here on Nashville, Detroit?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from this game as well. I mean, we've seen, Detroit over the years had dominated this Nashville team, but then things have kind of changed of late. Nashville's won 3 of the last 5 meetings. But like you said, they're coming home off of a road trip, so everything just kind of negates itself in this spot. Might be able to look for something live, like you said, and if it's Bernier and that gives the Red Wings a better chance, but still, not much. These are two kind of fleeting teams. If this were later in the year, and Jimmy made a good point about when teams are mathematically out, we'll see things kind of open up more. This might be a game where I'd probably be looking toward the over. Honestly, I could just see it kind of just being they roll the puck out and just go back and forth. But at least Nashville still feels like they're in the race somewhat, so they might try to put up a bit of an effort. So just a clear pass for me.
Yeah, this is the first home game since March 6th, 17 days away from home for the Nashville Predators. So it's been a while since they've been donning the doors of Bridgestone Arena. They finally will tonight. Jimmy, what do you think here with the Red Wings and Predators?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm going to pass on this game, but if I was to do anything on it, I would lean towards the under. Just seems like a snooze fest we got in store for us there in Nashville tonight. So that would be it, just a lean on the under.
Yeah, Dylan, you know what? It's a funny quote I'm reading right now. Dylan Larkin, for a long part of that game, it was 0-0, not much going on. Talking about so basically we might see that tonight again, 0-0, not much going on for a bit in this game. So yeah, this is one game where the under definitely, I would think, makes a little bit of sense. No question about that. Tampa Bay and Dallas next up now. Stanley Cup final rematch. These teams have played each other a lot already this year. They'll go head-to-head again tonight in Big D. We've got Tampa about -160. I'm even seeing -170 now in some spots with Tampa Bay as road favorites. The total 5.5 shaded to the under in this game. The Dallas Stars 4-3 shootout loss to Nashville on Sunday in their last game. They're now just 3-6 in their last 9 games overall. Dealing with still some key injuries. I mean, it was unbelievable how all of a sudden, there was no Radulov over the weekend, no Blake Como. Still, of course, Sagan's been out. Rupe Hintz has been, questionable, it seems, every game recently for Dallas. So they're battling health. They've not been able to get a healthy, cohesive lineup on the ice. Rick Bowness at any point this season. They're playing a lot of games in a condensed period of time to try to make up for, the hiatus and the time off that Dallas had early in the season due to the COVID issues they had, and due to the fact that, of course, they had a couple of their games canceled and postponed due to the storm that erupted in the state of Texas. So they're trying to make up all these games. They're a banged up hockey team. I wonder if they're physically and emotionally exhausted right now, Dallas. It really does seem like that, in a lot of circumstances. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they're off a 5-3 win against Florida. They're probably the better team. They've owned Dallas this year. There's no question about that. They should win the game. I'm just not comfortable laying -170. We have seen Tampa Bay, Dallas, particularly Tampa on the road, trend over the total. So maybe I'd lean a little bit over. You're talking 5.5 at like a +115, +120 price with the price attached to that over 5.5. So I guess I'd lean a little bit in that direction. But other than that, just a lukewarm opinion for me on this game. I just don't think Dallas is playing well enough, and I don't think they're healthy enough to trust them in this particular spot tonight. But at the same point in time, I'm not necessarily rushing to lay -170 with Tampa Bay. And let's keep in mind, I was on Tampa laying a moderate price at Dallas the last time they were in Big D, and they blew a 3-1 lead, in the final few minutes, and they had to win that game in overtime. So I just don't feel comfortable in this spot laying -170 with Tampa, even though obviously they're the better team, and I would think they win the game, but just not comfortable backing them here in this spot. Alex, what's your take here? Tampa Bay, Dallas.
I mean, the only thing I would be looking at here, and even it's a ridiculously high number that check is the team total over with the Tampa Bay Lightning, 2.5, but it's minus 160, almost minus 170 at a couple of places. So if you can find an adjustment for that, which you can at a lot of books, at least in the U.S., they'll have where you can bet, off of the hook and go 3.5, 4. So maybe take a shot with the over 3 at an adjusted price there. But Tampa Bay, like I said, to fade them right now, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially the way Dallas is playing. I think Dallas is a team that is right there with Detroit as far as that Central is concerned. I think they're out of it. And the fact that they haven't been able to, like I said, they put up the fight in the last meeting with Tampa, but the way they got stonewalled the first 2 meetings with Tampa, and I thought those were games they'd really be amped up for, coming off of how the Stanley Cup final went, and it just weren't. And like I said, there's been so many other existential issues with them. The storm, having COVID, different things that have kept them from really getting in gear. But even at the crux of it now, they still haven't found a way to just kind of just start playing consistent hockey. I don't think it's going to happen from now until the rest of the season. So I would look at Tampa Bay, maybe able to. This is definitely a spot where, like, talk about with in-game wagering, could find a better adjusted line if this goes scoreless early in the first period, which it often does with a Dallas game. Usually only see 1 goal maybe. Now, if Tampa Bay comes out with their A game and they score 3 goals, then forget about it. You just have to maybe try to figure something else out or wait for another day. But I think Tampa rolls in this game.
All right, but just a lean overall for Alex, but he thinks Tampa Bay's got a good chance to win this game. Jimmy, what do you think here? Lightning taking on the Stars.
Well, I think great minds think alike there. It's a good segue to what I think, Alex, because I see a scoreless first period for sure. I almost like the under total, but I'm just going to go. I think this game starts off slow, and it's one of those games where maybe Tampa can open it up later and put it over at the end. We'll see. But give me the under in the first period for this game.
All right, Lightning Stars under 1.5 first period for Jimmy Murphy in this one. And our final game of this Tuesday slate, Colorado Avalanche, Arizona Coyotes. We've got Colorado laying a massive price on the road here, minus 240 in that range here in this game. We've got the total of 5.5 shaded to the under. I actually played 2 bets on this game, and I'll lead up to it in just a second. But here's my thought process. We're looking at a situation here where we've got Colorado rolling right now, playing great. And now their offense, all those times were earlier a couple weeks ago against, Anaheim, LA, Arizona, when they were generating 40, 50 shots, tons of high danger chances. The expected goals for in those games for Colorado was through the roof, and yet they were barely getting to 2-3 goals. Well, now those are the dam is bursting, essentially right now for the Colorado Avalanche. They are getting those games to result in goals now, those chances, those high amount of shots, and their defensive game's been outstanding, at the other end of the ice. This is now becoming a team that it's now habit. It's ingrained in their DNA for this Colorado Avalanche team with this terrific blue line to hold teams below 30 shots on goal. It's pretty much happening every night. And there's a lot of games too where the Avalanche are holding teams to below 20 shots on goal. You talk about a team that has the complete game going at the same time. That's Colorado right now, offensively, defensively, and goaltending. Can the goaltending keep it up tonight? Because we know it was Philip Grubauer last night in the victory over Arizona in the first of the back-to-back. Second of the back-to-back, we might be seeing Jonas Johansson, newly acquired from the Buffalo Sabres, make his Colorado Avalanche debut tonight. And the way I see this is it's going to go one of 2 ways. And I think both ways are going to be probably Colorado winning this game because they look untouchable right now, and Arizona's just struggling mightily at this point in time. Either Colorado is going to win, a lot of Colorado's wins, by the way, lately have been by 2 goals or more, and most of Arizona's losses lately have been by 2 goals or more. So the puck line to me is in play here with Colorado minus 1.5 at plus 115. But I'm also betting over 5.5 because the way I see this is I think we've got a chance to win both of these. As much as the Colorado defense is playing well, and they're going to do everything they can to help out Johansson if he's in net in his first start. They'll dig in, they'll play hard for him. But can Johansson make the saves he's supposed to make? There's still a question about that. This guy was rancid. This guy was terrible with the Buffalo Sabres. Was that a product of Buffalo and just a toxic organization and terrible defense? Or can he ratchet up his game and find something here in Colorado? Maybe, but I don't know that yet. We haven't seen him play yet for Colorado. So the way I see it is there's a chance Colorado could win a 3-0, 4-1 game like last night. But there's also a chance Johansson struggles, Arizona pots a couple, and Colorado can win 5-2, or 6-3 or something like that. And we get kind of like that high-scoring game they had with Anaheim the last time Grubauer didn't start, which was Hunter Miska's last start, and he was awful in the first period of that game and gave up 4 goals. I think I can go 2-0 with these 2 bets. That's what I'm hoping for, obviously, making these 2 bets. But even if it goes 1-1 and Colorado wins, by 2 or more in a 3-1, 4-1 type game, and the under loses, it wouldn't shock me. But I think there's a chance that Arizona can contribute to the scoring tonight because Johansson's a wild card. I know the defense of Colorado's been outstanding, airtight, and they're going to dig down defensively to play hard for this guy tonight if he's indeed starting for the Avalanche. But that doesn't mean I trust him to make the saves because we didn't see him any evidence of him being able to do that with the Buffalo Sabres. So for me, I like Colorado puck line here, -1.5, +115 to win this game by 2 or more. And I also like over here, 5.5. You can get that around even money between the Avalanche and the Coyotes. I know it's tough to trust this Coyote offense, but their desperation has to take over. And I think they realize they got to try to score the first goal tonight. They can't fall behind Colorado again. And I think you'll see a more aggressive approach offensively as a result from the Coyotes. Just a question of can they finally bury some pucks. Alex, what do you think here? Colorado, Arizona.
I retweeted a quote from John Vogel, who's the writer for the Buffalo Sabres at the Atlantic. And this is interesting. He says about Jonas Johansson getting traded. He says, I can say without hesitation that the Avs are getting the worst goalie I've seen during my 19 seasons covering the Sabres. He doesn't stop pucks in practice or games. So with that being said, if he is starting for Colorado, then this is something that is definitely a green light to look at the over here. And like I said, Arizona could possibly be rolling with Aiden Hill, who has not looked good this season as well. So I'm on the first period over, which is at even money, and the full game over at even money. I think we're going to see goals go back and forth. And this is a Colorado offense that is just absolutely on fire right now against anybody. But when you put them against the backup goalie, it seems like they easily could get 3, 4, 5 goals in a heartbeat. They might be taking care of this full game total by themselves. But like you said, Arizona should come out swinging hot early, and we've seen them go 6-4 the last 10 of the first period over in their games, and that's been playing against some slower teams as well. So like I said, first period over and full game over, I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. Not sure who's going to win it at the end, but I would lean more so toward Colorado.
All right, first period over and full game over. And wow, that's maybe the worst goalie I've ever covered from the reporter there for the Buffalo News. That's saying so. So basically, he is not in the camp of Jonas Johansson believing that a change of scenery and a much better team and defense around him in Colorado is going to make much of a difference. So
what were we saying yesterday, Ian? What? Huh? Remember? About the backup job and how they sort of swung a little bigger?
Yep.
Yeah. And well, obviously Joe Sakic didn't read the scouting report from one John Vogel of the Buffalo News apparently before making this move. Yeah, they're pennies on the dollar. We said it yesterday. It was just a cheap, low cost move, trying to save some money, pinch some pennies. Maybe they can turn him around, but you hear that from a Buffalo scribe who's obviously been seeing, up close and personal, this guy for several games with the Sabres this year say you can't stop pucks, in a games or in practice. Yeah. That's definitely something that gives you some concern when you hear something like that. But we'll see tonight if he's in.
Yeah. To Colorado's credit, Ian, too, I would say that, they can't talk to the Buffalo Scouts because they fired them all before the year. Who needs scouts?
Yep.
We're the Buffalo Sabres. We don't need scouts. Yeah. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they have 3 – the only 3 scouts are like the directors of each division, the director of pro scouting, director amateur, the director of Europe. That's it. And everything else is done through video.
That's crazy.
But, Kim Pagula, man, she should be running a hockey team. Great job there. Good job, Buffalo. I mean, it's pathetic. It really is. But I don't want to get on a rant about the Sabres here. Let's stick to this game, and I agree with Alex completely. And you guys,
ranting is fun, though. You got to admit.
Yeah, this is a hell of a first period. I think we have waiting for us because I agree with you. I think Arizona. I mean, like we always say, guys, these teams that aren't that great, they still have pride. And some of these nights, they know they got to come out and show it. I see them doing that, but I also see Colorado countering with more offense. So give me the over in the first period there. And I'll also I'll do 2 on this game. Give me the team total over for Colorado.
All right, so Colorado, Arizona over 1.5 in the first period for Jimmy, but also liking the Colorado team total as well in this one, over in the team total over 3.5 as well in this one against Arizona. So good stuff. I've gotten through all 5 games on this Tuesday NHL card. Reminder, we've got our Ice Guys store going up tomorrow on Wednesday. We're looking forward to that. You'll be able to check out the merchandise options that are available to you. Looking forward to unveiling that tomorrow. And also our live NHL betting show, our first of many, is going to come your way Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be on the air. It'll be the first period of the Edmonton Montreal game, assuming they play at that time. There's also Buffalo and Pittsburgh going on at that time. So we will go through those 2 games for you on Wednesday night, our first live betting show. We'll get more going in April and May in terms of live betting shows with the Ice Guys as well. Pick nights where there's a lot of games. We'll try to do it, like I say, on a Tuesday or Thursday or whatever night there's a lot of games on. We'll do that if we can later in the season. In terms of McKinnon anytime goal scorer at plus 120, Claudio, is fine with me. Like I say, especially if you're getting plus 120 on him, there's just some guys like Matthews, McDavid, and McKinnon, the triple M. If you're getting them at plus 120 or better to score a goal, from a value standpoint and a price perspective, that's never a bad bet. Win or lose, that's never a bad bet from a value standpoint, because you could see some nights where I've seen Austin Matthews, McKinnon, and McDavid, guys like that, they're plus 100, even minus 120, in certain games to score a goal. So if you get plus 120, I'm definitely not going to argue with someone wanting to bet that. But Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ice Guys YouTube channel, the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Make sure you join us for our first Ice Guys NHL live betting show. Before we get to best bets, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN. If you sign up with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you'll get a deposit bonus, weekly specials and incentives in all kinds of various sports. We've got the tournament still going into the Sweet 16, NHL, NBA daily. Baseball starts next month. Lots of reasons to sign up, to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, and use the promo code THPN. All right, it is time for best bets for this shorter Tuesday slate. Alex, we'll start with you. What have you got for best bet?
Yeah, let's go with the Florida Panthers in regulation. You can get it even money or minus $1.05. I was able to grab it at even money. Like I said, this is a Hawks team. The fight that they had is pretty much kind of going to start slowly to leave them, it seems like. And Florida's just a much better opponent. We've seen them, cash in the last 2 meetings against them in Florida, and now have to turn around after that road trip. Try to get their bearings together. I don't see it happening. I think Florida's offense way too superior. And Chris Driedger, we saw how well he played in the time that he's gotten as well. I would have liked this even more if it was Bobrovsky, because he has good numbers against the Hawks. But either way, I think Florida wins. So they take care of business within 60 minutes. I'll go with Panthers regulation as my best bet.
All right, Florida Panthers in regulation. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Jimmy, best bet. What do you got?
I'm going to stay in that game too as well and make that Jimmy puck line there on the Florida Panthers as my best bet.
All right, Florida Panthers puck line minus -1.5 for Jimmy Murphy with his best bet at a solid plus price there in that one. And this is a rarity, but again, with only 5 games on the card, this might happen every now and then.
Hat trick, Ian.
All 3 of us are on the same game for a best bet. I'm on the over with Florida and Chicago. Florida, Chicago over 6. There is some minus 120s and minus 125s on 6 out there still. It's moved to 6.5 in some spots, so shop around. I got 6. I bet it this morning. It was still 6 across the board. So make sure, shop around for the best price and the best line available with that. But my best bet is Florida, Chicago, over 6, minus 120. Best bet for this Tuesday NHL card. That'll wrap things up for today. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Remember, we have our regular Ice Guys show, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then we're back with our live show, live betting, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you join us for that. And a reminder, I am too, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have our beers in hand. We'll be throwing them back a little bit. So looking forward to that. And a reminder, we're on 7 days a week with the Ice Guys, breaking down every single NHL game from a betting perspective, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live on YouTube, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast providers. For Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.